Games. Every game has got a rule, whether it is Angry Birds, what the red can do, the yellow cannot do. The black fellow, it drops egg-shaped bombs. Uh, yeah, football. There are rules, of how you can hit a goal, who can hit a goal from where, and so on. What the knight can do in chess, the bishop cannot do. What the queen can do, that cannot be done by a pawn. But everyone has got a separate role over here. So we talk about games and the rules, and on the same line we have got what is called GAAP. So GAAP stands for Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. They are the basic accounting, they are the basic framework to do accounting, or you can say they are the rules for the game of accounts, or the rule for presenting accounts, so that you have standard rules all across the millions of business which are there in a particular place. For India, you might have separate set of rules. For US, you might have separate set of rules. The rules that we talk about, the GAAP, Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, are relevant for India. Okay, a business entity assumption. Business entity assumption, it says that the business is separate from its owners. So, if you have a proprietorship company, or you have let's say a partnership company, the assets and liabilities of the owner are different from the assets of and liabilities of a uh, uh, business. So in reality, in terms of law, any business is a legal separate entity. Monetary unit assumption. So monetary unit assumption is all financial transactions of a business should be capable of expressing in monetary units, which is rupees or dollars or euros or pounds or whatever it is. And if it is not possible to do so, which is if you cannot express a financial transaction in terms of any of these, which is in terms of money, then it should not be recorded in books of accounts, period. Accounting period. The next principle is accounting period. It states that the accounting process of a business should be completed within a certain time frame. Usually it is 1 year. And in case of India, we have financial year, which is different from calendar year. Calendar year is from January to December. Financial year is from 1st of April to 31st of March. Yeah. So the calendar year, or basically a certain period, is decided as far as the accounting has to be done. So every transaction that relates to a particular accounting period will form a part of financial statements for that particular period. That is important. So relevant to that particular period, the financial statements will be made. Historical cost concept. Now what is this? So historical concept, historical cost, it talks about resources or assets which are acquired. They require to be actually shown in the books at the cost at which it has been acquired. Now what does that mean? You have started a business in, let's say, the city of Hyderabad, and you have purchased office space for, let's say, 50 lakh rupees. But this particular purchase was made in the year 2000. That particular office value right now might be 5 crores, but in the book of accounts, we still talk about in terms of the historical cost. So whatever the cost was at that point, that is the cost at which the asset which has been acquired by the business shall be recorded or shown in the books of account. That is historical cost concept. Going concern concept. It states that a business entity is assumed to be a going concern. It will continue to operate for an indefinite amount of time. You would not think that it's going to close down today, tomorrow, a year later, and so on. It would be assumed that the concern is going to go on. Because if that was not so, if you were to think that it's going to close down or liquidate in the near future, then you will have to restate the assets and liabilities in accordance with what the actual value, which is realizable or payable true financial position of the entity. So because we go by the going concern, the costs and the liabilities are in terms of the historical costs that they are recorded. Full disclosure principle. Full disclosure is, so an accounting entry may not independently be able to provide all relevant information relating to the transaction. Hence, full disclosure principle requires that the entity to disclose all financial information relevant to the investor or user to assist him in decision making. So that's basically a little bit of jargon over here, but in short, all the accounting principles have to be such so that there is clarity and transparency. You require to be able to see through. If you make an entry, let's say cash being paid to Hari, if that is a particular thing. So if cash was paid to Mr. Hari, what was it for? Was it for purchase of goods from Mr. Hari? Or was it for payment that was already due to Mr. Hari? Or was it for possibly getting goods from the market? In either case, all of this is called narration. So at the transaction level, every entry, which is every journal entry, has got to follow a narration. And then at the statement level or the accounts end statement level, we have things like accounting notes which are there. So that is what that was about. Matching concept. In matching concept, it's a very important one. You require to match the expenditures and incomes for a particular period, right, to be able to show the right profit. So you cannot have the incomes of one period and have expenses of a different period. It will not give you any kind of a correct picture of the profit or the loss that the organization is suffering or making. That's what matching concept is. So accrual basis of accounting. Now accrual basis is, now here today we are on 9th of January, and if I have any particular expense which I have made on this particular part of the month, let's say today I have paid for 6 months of hoarding cost. I've got this big billboard that displays the advertisement of my hotel. It says 5-star hotel PQR located in so and so, welcomes you to Goa or Hyderabad or wherever it is. That's what the hoarding states. And this particular hoarding, for this particular hoarding, I have paid 6 lakh rupees for 6 months. Now this is the month for the month of January, February, March, April, May, June. So 6 months that 6 lakh rupees have been paid. Now the expense that we are going to show in the books of account for this particular financial year will be the expense which is relevant till 31st of March, which means because the accounting period is from 1st April of 2020 till 31st March of 2021. So based on that, I'm going to charge, I'm going to record expense of 3 lakh rupees. Why? January, February, March, which is 3 months, and the total amount paid was 6 lakhs for 6 months. So I'll be considering the expenditure for 3 months over here, and then the next 3 lakhs will be recorded in the next particular period. So accrual, that's what accrual is. Principal requires all revenue and expenditure to be recorded in the period it actually incurred. So just because the expenditure has happened on some other time and not when it was actually incurred. Now, for example, for the next financial year, in this particular example, when we talk about the financial year 1st of April 2021 till 31st of March 2022, the expenditure of 6 lakh rupees that we made happened in the previous year, which is this current financial year 1st of April 2020 till 31st of March 2021. In this particular year, we made that expense. But the expense was accrued or actually incurred. Half of the expense was incurred for 2021, right? So that's what it says. It is to be recorded in the period that it is actually incurred, and not when the cash or the cash equivalent has been received or spent. So 9th of January you have spent 6 lakh rupees, but of that 3 lakh rupees is not relevant to this financial year. 3 lakh rupees is relevant to the next financial year. That is the principle of accrual. The earning of income and the incurring of expenditure is important, irrespective of the corresponding cash flow. So consistency, the principle of consistency. An entity may decide to follow a particular accounting procedure in relation to a series of transactions. Now, it has to be done in a consistent fashion. For example, let's say if you're calculating depreciation. So depreciation for this particular year, if you have decided to follow a straight line method, then it is important that next few years also for the same asset we require to follow the same method of depreciation. Otherwise, we will not be able to make a proper comparison of the financial statements in future. Now, this particular example over here. Now, look over here. You have the value of the asset in the beginning was 10,000 rupees, of which every year you are writing off 2,000. So this is a straight line method of depreciation, right? Every year equal amounts are being written off. This is a straight line method of depreciation. So if I'm doing that method for first year, for second, third, fourth, and every consecutive year, we should have the same method of depreciation. Unlike this, there's something called a normalized depreciation also, in which if you decide that every year you're going to charge 15% or 10% or 20%, whatever it is, if you have decided that, then on the residual value, now for example, if you have charged in this particular case, you have charged 20% over here, so it is 8,000 now. So second year on 8,000, if you charge 20% once again, it will be 1,600. So 20% of 8,000 is 1,600, and then you have over here 6,400 balance over here, and then again on 6,400 again you charge 20%. So this time depreciation is 1,280 rupees, and so on. So basically that's a different method. This method is different. This method is different. We require to keep the method same. If you are following this method, then we have to keep this method for every year. If you are following this method, you have to keep it same every year. Materiality. Materiality is, it has to be relevant. The particular transaction that we are looking at has to be relevant. That's what materiality is about. Now, what does it say? The accounting principle allows an entity to disregard other accounting principle if the result of the same does not affect the decision making of the user of financial statement. Certain errors or omissions may also be ignored if the effect is immaterial to financial statement. For example, if you have purchased a keyboard, this keyboard, it costs you 300 rupees or 400 or 500 rupees. In a very large concern, let's say you are working for a Microsoft, or you are working for a Tata Birla, or you are the accountant for one of these companies. Now this particular thing might have have a life of about 3 years, but you may still choose to record this as a expense for one particular given year, and in case you do so, it really is not going to be make much of a difference in terms of the crores of rupee financial statement that the company has. So in short, you have a freedom to consider this as an asset or as an expense, but the result is really not going to make any big impact as far as the final profit and loss of the balance sheet is concerned. But that is what we are talking about, materiality. This is what materiality is. Conservatism. Okay, so conservatism says that we require to essentially be conservative in our estimates. Take into consideration all expenses and losses, and not take into account all possible incomes and gains. That's what conservatism is about. The process of accounting, one might have come across various situations where two equally acceptable ways of accounting for a particular transaction. One have to choose between recording a transaction or not recording the same. In a situation, a conservative approach will be followed. Okay, so in short, provide for all anticipated expenses and losses. If you are, let's say, if today you require to close a book of accounts and take out what the possible profits and loss for the last month has been, or for this particular period has been, all expenses and losses relevant to that period which have not been made but which have been accrued or which is likely to happen, all those expenses and losses you have to take into consideration. But if a sale has not been made, which is a revenue, all the revenues and incomes should not be accounted for, or there is potential incomes and gains should not be recorded until it is actually received. That is being conservative. Yeah. In short, make provision for all negative things that can happen as far as business is concerned, but don't take into consideration any of the positive outcomes that a business might be able to provide you. That's what conservatism is. Right. So that's why provision for expenses like bad debts are made, but no corresponding record is provided for increasing realizable value of asset. Like we discussed, so you have office space, and there has been appreciation in the price of that, but you still record that in the historical value. You don't talk about the increased gain that we purchased at 50 lakhs, that cost you 5 lakh to 5 crore rupees right now. You don't record that. So you talk about expenses which are there, like bad debts. What is bad debt? If you have sundry debtors of to the tune of, let's say, 1 crore rupees, and you know that out of these there are some people who are going to ditch you. So you make a provision of, let's say, 2%, so, or 5%. So you do take into consideration that out of this 1 crore rupees, 5%, which is 5 lakh rupees, is never going to actually come to you. That is making provision for an expense. Yeah, that is what conservatism is all about. Yeah, so look over here. Here we are talking about inventory. Now, when you have inventory, if you're a factory or if you're a hotel, so let's say if you have, for discussion's sake, let's say if you're talking about prepared food, which has got a shelf life. Let's talk about, since this Christmas season, let's talk about plum cakes. So you have got plum cakes which have got a life of about 2 months. You can sell it over 2 months. But you already have, let's say, 100 plum cakes. You already have it ready and kept with you at this point in time, but they have not been sold as of now. Now the cost of making each plum cake is 100 rupees, but the selling price might be 400 rupees. Now, when I'm taking that into my inventory, I will consider each plum cake to be at the rate of the cost of the plum cake, which is in this case 100 rupees, and not my selling cost, which is 400 rupees. Yeah, that is again conservatism over here. Yeah, this is the acknowledgement. I have been to this particular site thanks to the Chartered Accountants Institute of Chartered Accountants India.